They called it the Ark. It was their vision of the future.
I'm trying to sell this guy an apartment here in our beautiful new development, the Ark. Actually, this is, just to explain, hi, we're talking about Brink here at Gamescom. It's a new game. I'm a senior games designer at Splash Damage. We're making this game for Bethesda. And the Ark, it's all set on the Ark, which is this kind of like a science project crossed with a luxury hotel. So when our artist came up with this image, this was actually concept art as if it was for a business prospectus. It was like, hey, come here, come and move to this place. By the time the game takes place, which is 2045, so it's kind of, it's not science fiction, it's pretty near future. Everything has gone wrong. The seas have risen. The original kind of luxury development is still there, but also they've had to move it to the middle of the sea, and still refugees found them. Tens of thousands of refugees are all piled into this place, which was only designed to, to house maybe 5,000 people as a kind of luxury hotel or a science research and development project. So really it's an excuse to import all these people and squeeze them into this tiny place, which is why this conflict breaks out, and that's where the conflict of the combat of the game comes from. Our experience is all with online first-person shooters. That's what we do. But we really wanted to expand that so that we think it's great. We think there's really good fun to be had. We do this objective mode combat where it's a series of linked objectives, so the combat is really focused. It's not in every corner. You don't end up in one corner of the map miles away from everybody else. And we really wanted to bring that to people. For example, sometimes it's the case where you play the single player version of a game and you get really good at it and you really enjoy it, but then you try the multiplayer version and it feels so different. It's such a different experience. You're not good at it, you don't enjoy it, and some people I think have had some negative experiences with that. So we really want to make it as easy as possible. We want to make it so that all the cool stuff is there and get rid of all the kind of negative things. So we really kind of blur the line between single player and multiplayer, online and offline, so that if you're good at the game, you're just good at the game. It doesn't matter whether you're playing it with human players or not. So it's always two teams, 8v8. One team attacks, one team defends. One team is the security, who are trying to save the Ark, and the other team is the resistance, who are trying to escape the Ark. They're trying to overturn the order. So it is this rich, it's this weird place. I think it's quite unfamiliar for people. It's quite a unique setting for a game that maybe they haven't seen before, and there's all this combat, but it's focused around these objectives. You have to do one after the other. Certain classes can do certain objectives, so that we have a soldier, we have an engineer, a medic, and an operative class. So it's all combat, but we still have this narrative element as well that you don't always get with multiplayer. So if you choose, when you start the game, you can choose to play as security or as resistance, and they both have a storyline, and you can follow the story through, and each map has its own beginning, middle, and end. So it's taking a lot of what's cool about single player, where you feel like you're the vital guy who moves events along, and you're the solution to all the problems. Maybe you're not always going to be the one guy, maybe you helped the guy who did it, but it's always 8v8. And it doesn't matter whether you're playing it online or offline. I mean, let's say you start playing it at home, and you're kind of thinking of it as a single-player game. But I come online and I see, oh, look, I'm in your friends list, I see you, and I can join you if you let me. Suddenly it's a co-op game, because I replace one of the artificial intelligence players seamlessly. Within one frame, we can swap players out again. Let's say my phone rings, I had to take this call, I drop out, I'm replaced by an AI player. I finish my phone call, so we've gone from single-player to co-op, back to single-player. Now I come back online, and all your friends come online, and we fill up every single slot in that game. Now there are no AI players. They're all human players that are connected to you. It's still exactly the same game. You've gone from single to co-op to multiplayer, but it's still the same game experience. It's completely consistent. And it's completely consistent whether you're playing on PC or PS3 or 360. We're making all three versions simultaneously using exactly the same assets. So it's not like, well, it works kind of well on this platform, but not so great on this. It works really, really smoothly on all three of them. Historically, at Splash Damage, this is what we do, is we take first-person shooter gameplay and we add elements from other games. For instance, XP used to only be in RPGs, and of course now it's standard in shooters. Of course, it's cool, why wouldn't you? So we're taking a lot of the things that are cool in other games, like in an MMORPG, like World of Warcraft. It's awesome when your avatar, when your character really represents who you are. You've chosen that, you've earned the XP, you've bought that armor, that particular outfit. So when other players see you, they can tell, oh wow, this guy earned that, nice going. We want to have that in a shooter as well. So we've got a really, really big degree of character customization. some of it's just cosmetic, some of it's just like tattoos and scars and, you know, cool clothes, which are pretty cool. If you see someone who's unlocked that thing, it's like, oh, cool, you know, he's done well. And some of it really influences gameplay. For example, body types, because we've got a big influence on mobility and agility in the game. Movement is a really big deal for us. It's not a free running or parkour game, but we're definitely, you know, we're getting a much more fluid movement. So you start off as medium body type. So, you know, you've got a wide variety of weapons you can choose from. Maybe with your XP, you can unlock special additional things or kind of add-ons to the weapon, like not just things like extra magazine capacity, but maybe there's a muzzle brake on it that reduces the recoil, but it also makes your muzzle flash different. So other players can tell, oh, look at that guy. When his gun fires, it looks different from when my gun fires, even though it's the same basic rifle that we're using. You know, that's kind of a fun thing to do. But then maybe you unlock the heavy body type, which means you can unlock really heavy weapons, the heaviest weapons in the game. You're not quite as mobile, not quite as agile, but you've got more health, and that's, you know, a cool way of playing it. And it's a bit like the race of a character in an RPG. You know, I mean, you've got halfling or half giant or, you know, orc or something like that. You know, that really influences your whole approach to the game. Oh, I'm a big, heavy guy. I can go in on point. I can take lots of damage. Or, wait, I'm really small and nimble, like the light body type. Hardly any health. Can only use light weapons, but really, really agile. So you make that decision with your character. You say, right, if you've unlocked the body type because you've earned the XP, you're a heavy guy. And you can play in either team. You can be security or resistance. You can choose class, change class all of the time, either when you respawn or there are these command posts throughout the game where you can just say, right, I need to be engineer for this objective, and you can change instantly. But you can't change your body type. Once you've committed that character to being, this is a heavy character, this is how I want to play the game. Because that's one of the cool things about replay, is you go through it and it's a different experience. It's not just, oh, great, now I'm green, but I'm playing the game in exactly the same way I did before. Now it's different. You can position yourself differently. You approach tactical problems differently because you're not as mobile, you've got more health, or because you're much more agile. And there's different routes that open up because you can jump and climb and mantle better than you could before, but you've got less health, so you have to tackle things differently.
Peaceful, sustainable. The pinnacle of science and engineering. But it became more than that. It became the last promise of salvation on a dying planet. A promise for some